once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, one and all, to a brand new edition of The Quinn Spinn. I'm your host, The Quinn. At least that's how I'm known here on the program, and I'm back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more for another rousing and riveting installment of the official podcast of Underground Music Collective. You just heard Revel 9's All Become at the top of the show. That has been our opening theme song here at the Quinn Spinn since the great year of 2014. And it will be until the very end of days. Almost 10 years with that as our theme song. Almost 11 years old the show is. We're almost a teenager. We're growing up so fast. Anyway, I have the honor and privilege of being joined today by Alice Vibe, the first ever Italian-born guest at the Quinn Spinn in our rich, storied history. So congratulations, first of all.
Ciao, y'all.
And pop artist, brilliant creative mind, really excited about what you're doing and the concepts that you're putting, behind your art. And we'll talk about all of that. Before we do, though, I want to give you the chance to introduce yourself to the kind people by answering the three standard questions. Those three questions are, who are you? Mm-hmm. What are your passions? And why on earth would you want to come on the Quinn Spinn?
All right. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for coming.
This is amazing. So who am I? I'm Alice Vibe. Just a small town girl,
Mm-hmm.
coming here to Nashville from Italy. Mm-hmm. I moved here 1 year ago, February 2023. So, and it's been a wild ride so far. I'm enjoying my journey. I love this place. I love this city. I love the people here. Mm-hmm. I'm a singer, songwriter. I do pop dance music. Uh-huh. That's like kind of what how I identify my my genre. Mm-hmm. And yeah, my dream is like to just win a few Grammys and mm-hmm. tour the entire globe and just spread my energy through my music with everybody, honestly. So yeah, my passions besides music, yoga. Mm-hmm. That's a huge part of my life, I would say. And I would also say that it's like strictly connected to music for me. They kind of they both feed my spirit in a way that makes my creative potential kind of limitless and in constant it's constantly active and working mm-hmm. and inspired mm-hmm. and they're literally yoga. It's what gives my creativity a lot of boost.
Yeah, both require you to be very in tune with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a huge component that it's breath work, that it's very strictly connected to mm-hmm. music, because when you sing, the foundation is breathing. Mm-hmm. So those are my big passions. And then of course I'm Italian, so yeah. I love cooking. I love baking. So yeah, reach out to me if you want cakes or tiramisu.
I'll keep that in mind.
Or legit stuff, you feel me? Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, all my friends in town, they're always oh, can you make that cake? Can you do that? Can you do that tiramisu? Can you do that? Yeah, okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Is there any cake you can't do?
No. I mean, I don't know, maybe if we go very specific, mm-hmm. maybe there's something that I'm still perfectioning, but
mm-hmm. You can pretty much do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love it. I got everything from my mama.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so those are my big passions. And why I'm here, because you are so freaking cool.
Why, thank you.
And I love what you're doing. And when I saw the podcast and I was looking at the topics that you guys were talking about, I was wow, this resonates with my music so much mm-hmm. that I feel there's space for me and for what I'm doing, Mm-hmm. And I feel there's so much more awareness now in mm-hmm. the world, after everything that happened. There's a movement literally for me. So mm-hmm. The more people we can gather together, the better it can be. And, the better will be the outcome. You know?
Absolutely. And the episode that you found, because it was through the Homies app, right? It was with Lauren Gomez of Soul Fit Counseling, who's also a yoga instructor.
I love that.
Coming full circle.
Yeah.
Tuesdays and Thursdays for free in Church Street Park at 6 p.m.
Love it.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking for yoga,
Yeah.
But small world. Yeah. And Yeah, we cover it all here. You know, we try to do that. You know, of course, if you're new to the show out here, which some of you might be listening for Alice instead of me, like it's, we music, creativity, art, but also what's behind it, right? And like what informs the journey, and all journeys have a beginning.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your beginning, as far back as you want to go, the people, places, experiences, influences, of course, artists that shaped you, molded you, really inspired this creativity in you from a young age. And I understand it was from a young age.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I have memories of me singing since I was a kid. Like I still have photos, and it was like, it's funny because I was showing a photo of me on the stage when I was like 6 years old to a friend like a couple of days ago. And it was so funny because I was like this tiny, tiny girl. And there's a video that I still have of like this cut where I'm singing. And I'm like, I can see the rhythm, and I can like, and like a kid, it's like spontaneous, 100%. Like you're not planning anything. You're just there and you're singing and you're not thinking about it. So, and you have like no techniques. Like it just like pure, it's like the purest form of artistry.
Right.
And like every time I watch that video of me performing, I'm like, yeah, I was meant to be this. Like I've always been this and nothing else. Like I've always known that I wanted to be a singer since I was a child. Like I have memories of me during like holidays, Christmas, when all the family was like gathering together and they were like, oh, can you sing us a song? And I was singing for everybody.
Yep.
And I was just feeling alive. Like I still have that memory because, of course, like your inner child, it's like what feeds your creativity the most.
Yeah.
And it's still there. And that's like, if you keep it alive, that's how you can accomplish like miracles. And that's how you can like do great things in your life. You know?
I love that. Yeah. So many people, I think there's like a deadline, like 25, it's that saying of like, you stop living after 25, but you die at 75 or whatever it is. I butchered that. But like the fact is there's still so much life left. But I think like society places the expectation on us that like, okay, you're going to stop all this, fun stuff now. And you're going to get a job, get married, have kids, buy the house. Nothing wrong with those things.
Absolutely. Love that.
Yeah. But you should do them within the context of like what inspires you. So you can bring your full self to those things.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like that thing, it's what I call like conditioning. Like it's all the conditioning that we basically start receiving when we're kids, because we grow up and like we go to school and like we're surrounded by TV and like, everybody that around us is like conditioned as well. So we grow up with these like mindsets and concepts that we think they're like the truth. But what is the truth? Like, and like, inside of you what actually like resonates with you, and then you have to find your life purpose, and then you gotta like follow that pathway and to like go towards your dreams and your goals and everything, you know. And for me, there's like a divine timing for everything. And there was a moment of my journey through music where I thought like, oh, if I don't gain success by my 25, I'll be done.
Right.
But that was like part of like the conditioning thing, right? Yeah. And so like when I was like 18, I was like, oh my God, I feel like, like it's getting closer and closer. What am I doing? Like I need to do something. But that had like the opposite effect on my artistry and on everything, because then when you feel the pressure, then like your inner child and your creative potential doesn't feel free to express itself 100% fully.
Yeah.
So then you're kind of like limiting yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then I was like kind of limiting myself because I was scared of like, becoming like 25 and not accomplishing anything.
Right.
And then when I actually turned 25 is when I had my click, my epiphany, my like how I call it, like awakening. That's when I had that, and that's when I realized, wait, this is actually like now I'm starting it's now the beginning of my journey, like of me being intentional with what I'm doing with my music.
Yeah. Because how do you even know who you are that young?
Exactly.
You know, like 25, like I think of 25-year-old me. Like,
oh my God.
There was not a clue. I just, was trying to check the boxes at the
Yeah.
time. And I started this show at 26,
Yeah.
and it was my post-football purpose, and it's like I needed something. I played American football for over a decade,
Wow.
high school, college, into semi-pro, tried a couple times for an arena team, didn't make it. And then I'm like, all right, like I need something else. But I was just going to work. I was in a long-term relationship. It's like, okay, we're going to check all the boxes because that's what we're supposed to do. I started this show. And it definitely eventually shook a lot of those things up.
Yeah.
But what it did was it gave me that direction. And like started at 26, this whole idea of like, you need to have your life figured out in your 20s is so damaging. It's such a disservice to young people, to teenagers, to adolescents, because the truth is like you can go and pursue it at any time. Here I'm sitting in my late 30s now, still building the thing, and like, I think of my niece now, she's 14. But when she was 10, she and I were having a conversation about, what normal is, and like what society expects. And she at age 10 was like, normal isn't normal. And she doesn't want to be normal, and so we're like super tight because, we're the square pegs.
Yeah.
But like you have like, you have all these expectations, this conditioning, like the normalness of society just pushed upon you all through school, and into your adult life. And it's up to you to find a way to find an alternative, to do something different, to carve a different path.
I agree. 100%. 100%. And that's what happened in my life as well. There was like a moment when I had to pause and like kind of stop for a little bit. And that's when I realized, okay, what am I doing? And what do I want to do? Because when I was a teenager, I used to play in a band and we had so much fun. Like we had a blast. I had like the best time of my life. I was feeling like, like Lady Gaga every weekend playing a show and like changing outfits during my shows. I was just like, yeah, I'm enjoying my time,
Yeah.
I was kind of like the queen of my, my city and everything. And that like gave me a lot of like confidence, and like it taught me a lot how to like perform and stay on the stage and like communicate with people. And that was like a true blessing for me. But then I realized we were playing covers, like mostly covers.
Right.
So I was like, okay, but do I want to play covers for the rest of my life?
Right. Yeah.
Like that's another thing. Like, no, like I have a gift. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has a different gift. I was gifted with this beautiful, ability to like write music and sing. And I'm like, I need to use this. I can help so many people with this. I can change other people's life, So I want to do that. I want to write to like help other people.
Let's dive further into that impact.
Yeah.
What is the impact you want to have on people's lives? What do you want to put out there to make the world a better place?
Okay, I always say, and this is very ambitious, I always say I want to heal people with my music. And that's like very like the ultimate goal, because if you think about it, even like for me, I think about it on myself, how like music affects me and, my system, my energy, everything, And so what I think is like, if I can be intentional with my lyrics, people are going to listen to my music, and they're not just going to listen to the melody or, they're going to listen to what I'm saying. And that is going to have an impact subconsciously and energetically on you. So maybe you don't realize it immediately, but then you will think about it. You will reflect on that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes music eternal.
Yeah. There's a certain timelessness in the message and the way it makes you feel, right?
Yes.
And that, like, people who tap into any artist project who consume any product, right? Like they do so based on how it makes them feel. They don't do so based on logic. It's the connection.
Yeah.
And I think as artists, as creatives, like it's so important to figure out like what is that connection that we want to create with our audience, but also what is our way of doing that? What's our unique method of reaching them? Because each of us comes from a different individual story, you know,
Absolutely.
and the nuances of that, you know, are the things that give it that, you know, individual color, you know, like the general themes, the general human experience that we all go through, like by and large is pretty similar, I think, in the world. But it's really like, okay, what are the exact events that inform our perspective that can help us communicate to other people, help them maneuver through their journeys, right?
Yeah.
And as artists, it's that responsibility, right? To like connect with people and to like say, hey, I see you. And I invite you in to, you know, feel what you're feeling. I invite you in to experience life as you're experiencing it right now and gain some perspective on it. Yeah. And I think that's, you know, for any creative, a noble mission, right? Is to lean into what makes you you. Be unafraid, you know, just go forward with that confidently, because that's what's going to inspire your true audience.
Exactly. Yeah. Stay true to yourself always. Always. That's why I feel like if you stay true to yourself, that's like the winning point, you know? And this is why like my biggest heroes are Freddie Mercury, Lady Gaga. I feel like those people, they made such a huge impact on the entire world. Every country, every culture. They were able, and Gaga is still able, like to go beyond like the cultural differences, the race differences, everything. Like, because music is a universal language. Right. It's what I call light language. That's the way I called it, because I always say like, I want to talk light language. I want to be able to like put out a positive energy with my music, and made an impact as my heroes, they did, and they're doing, like, you know, with their music and their lyrics, like their songs are so powerful, and their words, they are so like they have such a massive impact on your like mind, on your heart, you know, on your perspectives of life.
Right. There are songs that all of us will remember forever for that exact reason, because of the moment we associate them with.
They're eternal.
Yeah. Like there are just certain songs, like they might be older now, but they don't feel old to me. You know, I think we all have those that we just keep coming back to, or like we keep like evolving, you know, our relationship with based on other things that have happened in our lives and the perspective we've gained, you know, to maybe like tie back to that moment. Like I can think, you know, off the top of my head, like there are full albums that like I really like just came out at the right time in my life, right? Two in particular: Burn Burn by Our Lady Peace in 2009, and Midnight Control by Dirty Heads in 2022. Wow. Like just those moments in time where, you know, like every song just hits, you know, and it's just like the perfect soundtrack to whatever's going on in your life.
I love when that happens.
I'll never forget those albums. I mean, there are albums, aside from those, countless ones that I'll never forget because of like what I associate them with, the time in my life. Like there's a certain like, you know, sound within like 2000s hip hop, pop, and R&B that like I associate with college, and I always will.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's the power of music, right? Every song reflects like a time of your life, a moment of your life. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that.
Yeah, absolutely nothing like music, and the way it touches everything around us, every piece of media, every culture, you know, every corner of the world. Yeah. Like we're connected through this medium. And I think it sounds like that's what drew us both to it.
Yeah,
ultimately,
absolutely. Yeah.
So your journey, going back to your journey now. So when did you decide that, like, was there a spark, a particular moment that made you decide like, this is what I'm doing. I'm going to go to the US. I'm going to pursue this full time. Like I'm going to pursue this passion as a career.
Yeah. Well, US has always been like something for me. I mean, coming here, like moving here, because I grew up with like, I have part of my family who moved to the U.S. During the 1940s, whatever. So I grew up with like these stories of America and like, and then you start like developing your own like awareness of like this culture and everything. And I got very like passionate about it. And music was like, another huge part in it. Like it played a huge role in this. So like family. And so it's like your roots and then music. So it's like the two things that like shape you that like are just guiding you towards that direction. And so I was like I think like I started saying like that I wanted to move here when I was like a little kid. I'm not kidding. Like there's like some people that maybe I haven't talked to for a long time that they reach out and they're like, where are you? And I'm like, I live in Nashville. And they're like, what? Literally, like you were saying that like 10 years ago that you wanted to move there. And I was like, yeah, I told you that I do everything that I said. Like if I say something, I'm gonna put out that energy. I'm gonna manifest it. I'm gonna attract that. I'm gonna work my ass off for that, and I'm gonna do it. So I was a kid, and then I was like, I've always like been a singer. So at one point in my life, I think I was like, around my like 17, 18. And I was like, okay, what's next now? I was like, I was like, it was right after high school. So I was like, yeah, definitely I want to move to the US. And then of course I had like Nashville was like on my bucket list because I grew up with like Hannah Montana. I'm gonna be honest now.
Right.
I'm gonna be straight like honest. I love Miley Cyrus. She's like, she's something to me.
Yeah, and the way she's coming to her own too, like in recent years.
Oh like, man, like she's incredible. Like for me, she's the example of like, I'm doing whatever I want to do with my music, and I don't care if you're gonna like it or not. I'm just gonna do it. That's her. That's her. That's what she does, and that's what I love about her. She's like, I don't care if you're gonna like it or not. I'm gonna do it because that's how I like it.
She's truly like a student of the art, right? Like she's not just trying to create for the sake of radio play, for the sake of followers. Like she will literally dive into any genre and just like go for it. And more often than not, the vast majority of the time, like it lands, like it comes out very well, because she just has that love of it to like make it as good as it can be without regard for what the expectation is.
Exactly. She's incredible in that. Like, I feel like she's incredible in that. So I grew up with that. I was like, little girl watching Hannah Montana. I was like, oh, what's like, let me see what's in Nashville, Then I started like getting to know more about like music and folk and country music. And then, when I was like 18, I was like, I want to move to Nashville. How am I going to make that happen? I don't know. We'll figure it out, So I started like my journey, and a lot of work, a lot of like networking. Because everything like in life is
relationships.
So
So it was always Nashville.
Yes.
So because like, pop, and of course, obviously you come from an area of high fashion too, like New York, LA could be very appealing, so it was Nashville was always the goal.
Nashville was always the goal. And like when people ask me why, because I got this question before, and I always say, I cannot explain, because you just feel sometimes the attraction. You just feel attracted to something or somewhere, or, and that's how I was feeling, and that's how I've always felt. And that's my answer. Like, I don't know why. It was never an option for me to go to LA, honestly. I went, like, the first time I went to the US, it was, I went to New York, and I loved it. I love New York. I don't think I would like live there.
Right. Same.
I love that city. It's like, it gives me so much energy, but it's also very chaotic.
Yes, it is.
And I'm like, I don't know. Like I think that New York, you need to love it to live there. Because I have a lot of friends like from Italy that they live there and they love the city. But you have to be extremely in love to live there, So I'm like, I don't know. Nashville was like always been a thing. And then when I was like in my early 20s, I was like, okay, for my 25th birthday, I'm going to go to Nashville. And that was my goal. So my 25th birthday comes and I'm like, I'm going. Bought my tickets by myself. And I was like, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to do it. And I'm just going to see how it goes, you know? And then I got here. I went first to New York to visit a friend, and then I went to Maryland because I had another friend living there. And then I convinced my friend in Maryland because she had a car, and I was like, "We should go to Nashville, please. You should come with me. It's my birthday. It's my 25th birthday." So we drove to Nashville from Maryland, and man, like I remember the feeling when I first like went to Broadway. And I know like now if I think about Broadway, I'm like, what a mess. I'm like, oh my God.
Especially this time of year.
I'm like, let me stay away from that. But that feeling, it's like pure life. Like you feel alive there, you know? And I remember that feeling. I was like, and I thought about something. I thought inside of me, I thought, welcome home. And that was like the first song that I've ever released on my like platforms on every
that coming to Nashville moment I think is very powerful for a lot of people because of what this means to music history. What this city, like the tradition of music within these city limits and the surrounding area, right? I had a similar experience when I drove down, you know, to visit before I ended up moving here. And 2 weeks later, I ended up living here after that trip. And I just remember, like, you know, I stopped overnight in Johnson City, you know, and then drove the rest of the way. I actually had a job interview, like, right when I got to town. And I just, like, come over the hill right by Briley Parkway on 40, and I see the skyline for the first time. And it timed up brilliantly with like there's this extended live version of Starseed by Our Lady Peace on Spotify, and it just happened to come on shuffle. They're my favorite band. That's my favorite live song that anybody's ever released. And just as after the 3-minute sprawling intro ends and it like kind of the deck's clear and that like opening guitar riff of the song starts, I come over the hill and I see the skyline. And I'm like, if that ain't a sign that this is where I'm going to land, I don't know what is. So I just floor it. I go, and the rest is history. But like, there's just that connection you feel like as a music person, even if you don't live here, like there's a connection you feel just with the energy of the city.
Yeah, it's the energy.
And like, even though the city's changed, evolved a lot, especially since COVID, like that's still there. Like it's still like, that's not something that you can take away from it.
No, never. Never. I will never forget that feeling. Never. It was so poetic. Like, and I was like, yeah, I definitely want to move here.
So COVID too. Opened your eyes to some things as well. So you were kind of coming back and forth. You had explained to me offline for a little while, and then COVID really started this shift. And ultimately you ended up here in February 2023. So take us through that time and what you realized and what made you finally take that leap.
So, well, I was doing back and forth and I was supposed to move here before, but then COVID happened, and we know that like everything happens for a reason, right? So that for me was like such a blessing. And don't get me wrong, like in Italy, we went through like the worst because, you know, like, we all know it was like one of the worst country with COVID and everything. So, and especially my region, like Milan was like crazy. But that kind of allowed me to pause and stop for a moment and ask myself, what are you doing? What's your life purpose? Like, what are you doing with your music? Because you're singing, yes. But why are you doing that?
Right.
Like, what's the purpose behind it? What's the intention behind that? And I kind of like started questioning that. And I was like, okay. What am I doing? Like, what do I want to do? And then at the same time, you know, since I had to like kind of pause my life for a while, my daily schedule changed in like a lot. Because before I used to like be all the time all over the place and out and never stopping, whatever. And then in that moment, I couldn't go out. I couldn't do anything. So I was like, I was like, now I am forced to stay in my feelings, learn, more about myself,
Mm-hmm.
discover more about myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like 2020 for me was like the year of like awakening and like self-awareness,
Mm-hmm.
because I literally discovered so much about myself in that time, more than like the 25 years before, 26 years before
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, like it was very impactful in my life and in my journey and in my music journey, because
Mm-hmm.
that's when I also like when like yoga became like part of my life, of my daily life,
Mm-hmm.
because before that, yeah, I was doing it, but like not very consciously, you
Right.
know. I was doing everything that I was doing. I was already kind of like aware of my dreams and everything, but I was more, I use the word passive.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like I was less aware, less mindful, less intentional in what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I wanted to be more intentional, because
Mm-hmm.
that could have like like more impact and like a higher impact on myself and on other people.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I started like yoga in my daily routine, and then I started writing everyday songs, and I was just like feeling so inspired, and like yoga was inspiring me and meditation was inspiring me. Like I started meditating on a daily basis, and that's something that I really suggest like to everybody, because meditation and breath work is everything. Is literally like everything. It helps calm down your mind, it helps gain clarity, it helps detaching from like thoughts and feelings that they don't are part of us, because we're made of love. That's what we are. And that's what I realized during that time. I was like, oh wait, like I don't need to be angry, I don't need to be mad, I don't need all these feelings. Why am I like, I just need to be freaking happy, excited, and like loving with everybody, even like with people that hurt me, because if you respond with love, you're gonna constantly receive love back.
Yes.
You know?
You are what you put out into the world.
Yeah.
You get,
karma
you get it back.
is real, guys.
Right.
Karma is real. Like I'm telling you, your thoughts, your actions, your words, their energy, and it's something that, you know, has an impact in like on others people's life, but on us as well. It's
Yeah.
a boomerang, you know?
Yeah.
So we need to be mindful on our thoughts, our actions, our words. That's another lessons that I learned during COVID. And so yeah, and then I just started like writing more and being more you know, get like diving deeper into my inner layers to see what was going on inside of me.
Yeah.
And I went through a lot. Like I had you know, a few months where I was like crying like a lot, and it was like a huge releasing. And I also like kind of faced some like traumas, you know, but that's what you need to do in order to like, you know, kind of see the light. And
Yes.
like from the ashes we will rise, you know. That's like the mantra of my life, you know.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need to like burn everything in order to like rise again.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And I think it was really easy. I'm speaking for myself, like before COVID, to like not do the work.
Oh, so easy.
I had just moved to Nashville. It was all bells and whistles. I had a day job, a night job, and my side hustle, which is this, that I really wanted to focus on, but I'm doing all this other stuff for, you know, the stability purposes, right? On the weekends, I'm going out or I'm traveling or whatever, like, and there was a whole lot of just like inner work not being done. And I think I realized that in 2020, when all of a sudden we're home, and it's just like, oh, well, I paused the work. Like I started doing the work before I moved here because I had to, you know. But then, like when I got here, I'm like, okay, I won. Everything's great. I'm in Nashville, new life. But you can't pause or stop that work. It's a continuous process.
It's every day.
It's like anything else. It's like working out. It's like anything else that requires repetition in order to not erode. And so I think your story is very similar to a lot of folks out there, you know, in terms of like what we realized we needed to do during COVID is like go inward and not be afraid of what was in there.
Exactly.
And it will scare you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it will like in some regards, shatter your entire reality and this idea of who you are by having to like face those things that like in simpler times you had a chance to avoid, right? But a very important time, a very pivotal time. And, you know, I think we're seeing now, you know, 2024 going forward, like a lot of people using what they learned about themselves in that time, coming out of those ashes, like you said, and actually moving forward with intention, with purpose. From intention comes impact. Right. And when you're not moving with intention and you're just kind of like dabbling here, dabbling there, like not really focused on like what you're here to do, like ultimately that mission, that vision isn't going to be accomplished. That impact isn't going to be had.
Yeah, exactly. I call them sleeping people. There's so many.
So many.
But thank God there's also people like us who are willing to like wake them up, you know? That's why we're doing what we're doing, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I want to do with my music. Wake these people up, you know? And that's what I try to like do even during that time, like during pandemic, like when I was talking to my friends, they saw this like massive change, massive transformation. They were like, oh, I cannot recognize you anymore. Some people, they were pissed. They were like, why you're doing this? Like, why you're not getting mad? Why you're not overreacting? I'm like, why do I have to overreact? Why do I have to get mad? Can we just talk about it? You know? And it took some time for them to understand this like transformation. Even for my parents, you know, like it took some time to like see, because they saw me for like 25, 26 years in a way. And then they were like, oh, wait, like who is this person now?
Right.
You know? And now it's like, now everybody is, I feel like they got really inspired from like my transformation. And I throughout these years, I received so many like feedbacks from like my close friends, but also like from people that are not super close to me, that they're like, hey, Alice, like, you know, watching your journey inspire me so much to, you know, make the work like do the work on myself as well. And I am so grateful for that, you know, that I kind of like inspire other people and also through my music. Cause then like that journey led me to where I am now and to my first EP that I dropped last September, where there's like a lot of intentionality in all the songs. You know, like one is called Defying, one is called Moonlight, Surfing the Light. Like, you know, I'm talking about universe. I'm talking about expression. I'm talking about feeling free to express ourselves. And I'm talking about unconditional love, you know? And that's what the world needs the most, you know? Like more intentionality behind like the words, behind lyrics, behind music. And
yeah. And I think when you've done that work, it gives you more grace and understanding that like everybody comes to that work in their own time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we can't force anyone to see it our way. We can't force anyone to like go and do the work themselves. We can serve as examples of somebody doing the work, right? But ultimately, like everyone's on their own journey. And speaking for myself again, like having done the work, you know, from COVID on, you know, it's really given me a much greater degree of patience for other people, like, or at least understanding of where they're coming from, you know, and like what they might be dealing with that's causing them to act or react, respond in a certain way. Because before, you know, growing up in New Jersey, you know, in, you know, rural America in the 90s and 2000s, like, you know, when someone had a problem with you, then you had a problem with them.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, somebody has a problem. Let me think about why this might be and also what they might be feeling. Okay. Like, and let me respond from there. Or maybe not respond. Maybe responding isn't the thing to do right now. You know, and so you don't. But it's important to do that work so we can understand like how the world around us and the people in it are functioning and maybe what they might be going through. It helps create a greater sense of understanding and compassion for other people.
Exactly. Compassion, patience, and like being empathetic, you know, with other people's feelings. Everybody has traumas. Everybody.
Yeah.
So if we are aware of that, we don't overreact when other people maybe have like a certain reaction that we don't necessarily, you know, understand.
Yeah.
But we don't have to respond with the same thing, you know. We can be, as you said, like, okay, let me reflect on that, or like let me take a few days. I'm not gonna serve that person with the same, action or words or that person served me with. So I'm just gonna, reflect on that.
Yeah.
That's what I like. That was one of my biggest lessons, because I used to be like that person that was like overreacting and like getting mad and like using like tough words, whatever. And then after my journey of like self discovery, I changed that pattern. Like I broke that pattern and I moved on. And now I'm like, if I find myself in those like kind of situation when there's conflict, I try to be compassionate about it.
Yeah.
I try to be like, hey, I love you. Everything that I say comes from a place of love. Let's talk about it. I'm going to leave you time and space, and I'm going to let myself like, kind of go through that and process that. And then we can have a conversation about it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how we grow, and that's how we learn, and that's how we create like, experiences that like shape us and make us a better people, and the better, the more we go forward, the more we discover, and the more we can be helpful also for other people,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think like the number one skill that I've learned since the pandemic is, okay, before you respond, take a breath.
Yeah.
That has saved me a lot of trouble. Before you respond to this, take a breath.
Oh my God, breathing is everything. Come on.
Take a breath. Don't respond right away. Like that has saved me a whole lot of trouble. And I think too, like when you've done the work, like it makes you a better communicator and it makes you more able to get through to what we might phrase as difficult people.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's all in the approach. It's all in how you come to the subject. It's all in how you come to the conflict. If you're coming to the conflict like trying to prove your point, like guess what? That other person, especially if they have that aggressive energy, is going to spend just as much, if not more time trying to prove their point.
Absolutely.
And that's where it just escalates and boils over.
Yeah.
Take a breath,
Yeah.
and especially like, again, as men growing up in America, I'm 37, we didn't talk about feelings. We weren't supposed to have feelings.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to have compassion. It was just supposed to be like, alpha, big dog, whatever.
Yeah.
And, our generation, millennials and younger, like, I think millennials, we've had the challenge of teaching ourselves this. Millennials and the older generations, I should say. The younger generations, have more of this baked into society.
I think so.
Like, how do you relate to other people?
Yeah.
And how do you relate to the world around you? Like, it's not, in fact, all about you.
Yeah.
It's about you and your place in this much, much, much larger ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. In the bigger picture. Absolutely.
So has there been anything in the transition from being in Milan, being in Italy to Nashville that has surprised you? Anything culturally, anything about the city itself?
Oh my God. Nashville gave me so much life, honestly. When I moved here, I was like coming from little tough time that I went through the year before coming here. Because I feel like 2020, I had like my awakening, and then like, self-discovery and self-awareness and more and more and more. And like, I was diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then
you got to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Then like you can kind of like feel at one point, like kind of overwhelmed with all this, all this awareness. And then, so that's what happened actually in my life. And then I was like kind of little struggling with that. So when I moved here, I was in that place of my life. And after like a couple of months that I was in Nashville, I was like, oh, I feel so alive again, like Nashville gave me life again. Like it gave me that boost of energy that I was like needing, that it gave me so much like inspiration and motivation. And it's just like, it's like going somewhere where like you can start from the scratch, because you're nobody knows you, and you can create like, you can be whoever you want to be. Well, and you can in general be whoever you want to be, but if you're in the place where like, if you're still in the place where you grew up, it's kind of like it's harder to like kind of break that conditioning and like detach from that and detach from like all the judgment and whatever. But then when you step out of like that comfort zone, and for me it was like almost like traumatic, like leaving my family and like coming here. Like I'm telling you, like the week before I was moving, it was like a crying show. Like every person I was seeing, I was like, everybody was crying, and I was crying too. I was like, oh my God, this is too heavy for me. Like I cannot handle. Like it's too much. Give me a break. I was like, give me a break. I remember like the flight here, it was like 9 hours. Well, half of the time I was crying. Like I had a woman next to me. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I just left like everybody."
I left my entire life behind.
but then like I remember that day, my dad, that like he's never been like a super communicative person. Let's say, love him, but yeah. I remember he sent me a text and he was like, "Go follow your dreams. Go be a singer." And that for me, I was like, yes, that like. I was like, yeah, I'm doing the right thing, you know? And then I moved here, and like after a couple of months that I settled first, and then I started like going out, hanging out, and like meeting people, meeting artists. And it was just like one blessing after another. Like all the people that I met that now are like, I consider my family here. Yeah. They're amazing. They're great artists as well. And literally, I can be myself 100%. Like you see me, like, I can like.
Very Pink.
Yeah, I love Pink. I'm obsessed. But I'm just free. I'm a free human. We're all free. We need to be able to understand that we're free, that we need to be 100% ourselves to, make other people, inspire other people to be themselves too. And this is like, that's what Nashville is giving me, this like incredible ability to just express myself and be myself. And like coming here from like the opposite side of the world, speaking like a language that is not my mother language, I was like, okay, am I gonna be worth it of that? Because you can question yourself, right. Even if like I know what I'm doing and I'm very confident of my purpose and my music, but still you're like, okay, I'm gonna be in Nashville, one of the most amazing like music cities in the world, where there's like artists that are monsters, like incredible, you know. I'm like, am I gonna be like enough for that? Like, especially like I'm writing music in a language that is not my mother language, and there's people that they write music in their language, their first language. So what am I gonna do with that, you know? And then I remember I got here at my first co-writing session, because when I was in Italy, I was writing all my songs by myself.
Right.
When I had my first co-writing session, I was like, oh wow, this is so dope. I was like, this is so cool. Like I'm being vulnerable with other people. Because when you write music, you're vulnerable. Like you're 100%.
You
like,
have to be.
It's like being naked. You know, it's like you're vulnerable. You have to be. Otherwise, you're not being like, you're not getting credits for that. Like how are you gonna be true? So you have to be. And so when I did that, I was like, this is powerful. This is incredible. So literally, like Nashville gave me, and it's still like giving me so much in that, like inspiration, motivation, like perspective, and like exploring, and it's beautiful.
And I love what you said too about like you have the freedom to be yourself.
Yes,
because that's how you're going to serve from your highest, most authentic place, is when you're truly leaning into who you are. And like it is the difference between like going somewhere and really having to like go on that journey of self-discovery versus staying safe and staying home. I mean, I've been here 5.5 years, and there have been a couple of rough patches where I'm like, should I go home? But then I go and I spend some time up there. I'm like, there are things I love about this. I don't feel like I'm the best version of me here. Other people around me, my niece again, like, the last time I was thinking about that, like, I told her, and the look on her face, I thought she'd be excited. She was like, oh, because she saw that light kind of fading a little bit. I'm like, and I saw her react like that. I'm like, oh, hell no. Okay, I'm going back to Nashville.
Yeah.
Like I'm clearly a better version of myself by what I've experienced here. And like, not to say it's all been easy, because it certainly has not been easy. Of course not. Like when you go out into the wilderness, like, challenges are going to arise.
Yeah.
But those challenges make you stronger. They give you that perspective. They give you that chance to grow that staying safe and staying home doesn't give you.
Yeah.
And so when you do go back to those places, what it does is it allows you to show up as a better version of yourself and really get the best out of that time up there. And that's what I found, like, all over again, coming full circle. Like, I love being in Nashville now because, like, I realized, what it's given me in order to allow me to serve any area, any situation in my life.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. And I agreed also on the thing that you said about like going back home, because every time that I go back now, I'm like,
kind of slip into that like previous version.
Yes,
yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in my old patterns. Like, it's kind of like stepping back in your previous patterns. Like, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
This is not me. Like, that's not me. So when I go back, I'm like, I love it because it's a party and like everybody's like excited to see you and like you get the best from everybody.
Yes.
You know? But then I'm like, okay, I need to like stay here for like a limited amount of time because otherwise I will probably there's a chance that I could get sucked back into that like, pattern and like those kind of like, situations, know?
Yeah, I do.
Because like
very well.
Yeah, because those the people and even my family, like they're there. They've always been there.
Yeah.
They're always gonna be there. And so that's what they saw in their entire life.
Yeah.
So, traveling and like experiencing like living in another part of the world gives you so much like growth and perspective on life. You know, that's why like I'm a hippie, because I'm like peace and love. I'm always like, I've seen so much. I had like, I was lucky enough to like travel a lot around Europe and here and I went to Bali and like, and all these like travels gave me so much perspective on life. That's why I'm always like, there's nothing more powerful than love, So who cares about like politics and like whatever, like society. The
things that divide us.
Yeah.
The things that are
like,
put there to divide us.
I'm like, who cares about like, I know. I'm a hippie. I don't care. I'm happy about it, So like sometimes I'm like, I detach myself from like conversations when like they get too fiery about like some certain topics. I'm like, I don't want to think about that because there's a lot of like darkness, but there's also a lot of like amazing things, there's new life every day. So why do we have to talk about death?
Right.
No.
Right.
Let's talk about who was born today,
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
It's managing the messaging, managing the narratives and the energies around you.
Yeah.
And like, I'll tell you right now, I don't watch the news. I never watch the news.
I don't have a TV in my house.
Me neither.
I don't. I chose when I moved here. I was so over that because like in my parents' house in Italy and like in the house where I was living, like there were TVs everywhere. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to have a TV now.
Yeah. Because I do go home and like I do see certain relatives just sitting in front of the TV all day.
And what are you
And I see how
watching?
happy that makes them.
Exactly.
It's either old episodes of something from 50 years ago or the news and yelling at the TV and like making comments about the news. And I'm like, why would you spend your time doing that?
Exactly.
That's what I don't understand. Like I can maybe like last through a movie and then I'm like, I need to get up and go do
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like I feel like I've already sat here too
Yeah.
long, and I have to like the movie.
Yeah, same.
But like,
same.
all like binging, like I don't have any of the
Oh, man.
streaming subscription
No.
things. Like if there's something specific on one of them, like right now there's a really good Bon Jovi documentary on Hulu I want to check
okay.
out. That I'll like, make time at some point to watch.
Yeah.
But like I have to make time to do it. It's just not a regular part because you just get sucked into it, and like the narratives and the messaging, and like even watching sports here in America, like it's half of it's like gambling ads. And
That's
it's
insane.
and then like they're wondering why the players are like, gambling and
Yeah.
breaking league rules. Well,
Yeah.
maybe if the entire league wasn't sponsored. Anyway, that's a tangent. But but that's the thing. Like even talking about it sucks us into this
Yeah,
like
exactly, yeah.
you know what I mean? So
Look
let's
at
get back to
us.
peace and love. Wow, that happened in real time.
Yeah.
That was great. So the music. So you have "Wanna Lose You" out now, released
Yeah.
the most recent single. Yeah, and just in general, I want to say, like across the board in your music, there is a lot of that European dance influence. Of course, you hear the Gaga in there, the Dua Lipa. Like a couple songs, I even heard a little bit of jazz influence, like in
yeah.
vocal patterns, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I just love the fresh take that you're bringing to pop music because I think
Thank
it's
you.
very much needed within this landscape, and certainly within top 40. Like, I don't think there's anybody who's quite doing it in this way to where it's like combining all these influences from around the world to this American audience. So
Yeah.
tell us about "Wanna Lose You" and just in general, creatively, like what your process looks like right now.
Yeah. So, well, starting with "Wanna Lose You," I wrote that song. I think it was like end of January, so it was like very fast. Like usually when I write my songs, like I kind of like to like write my songs and then like process them and then kind of go back to them and see if like I can change something in the lyrics, whatever. "Wanna Lose You" was like, I had to write something right away because I was feeling how I was feeling, and I was like, I need to release this now. I need to release this. I need to like put this energy out there. I need to like help I need to put that message out there and share my experience with other people, women, men, everybody, every human, and I was like, at the end of the day, what I want to do with this song, it's like empower other people, because the lyrics are simple. It's like a true story, it's like very like honest and true and pure and vulnerable, I would say as well. But I try to like be ironic and like positive, because at the end, like even in the song, I say like, the person is calling me and I'm like, I'm done, bye. Meaning that like I'm choosing myself.
Yeah.
I'm putting myself first, and that's what I want to, like that was the message that I wanted to deliver with that song. Like, let's put ourselves first always, because if we love and nurture ourselves first, then we're gonna know our value, our worth, and then we're gonna be mindful on who else we're gonna surround ourselves with.
And we're gonna love in a better, healthier way.
Exactly. Yeah. And we're not just gonna get like trapped in like into a situation that like makes us feel like uncomfortable
Right.
or like not enough or like whatever.
Right.
So that one of those, it was like I was like, I need to release this now. So it was like fast. My producer in town, he's a good friend of mine, Dylan Pace. He had this track and he was like, I feel like this track is perfect. And I literally started like listening to that track, and that like came out like super naturally. I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I don't want to lose you now. I was just like hearing that, and then I kind of like build the song up on that.
Yeah.
Like I created like all the other, like I wrote down all the other lyrics, and that's how "Wanna Lose You" came out. It was pretty fast. Like honestly, it was like probably like the quicker song I've ever written, like in terms of like process of like writing it, producing it, releasing it. Like, it was like very fast. And I think I love that song.
Yeah.
I love that song so much. I think it's like very fresh and very different. And it still like represents me, as like an artist, like my identity and my artistic identity. And in general, like my creative process, like it's always different, like sometimes I I play my ukulele, which is like fun because I'm like, oh, I do pop dance. Like if you listen to my songs, you're like, they started with a ukulele. Yes, some of them, yes. Like I start playing with my ukulele and I put down some chords and then I start like, singing stuff like randomly. And then if there's something like a word or like a line or anything that comes up and I feel like this like resonates with that, I start writing and I'm very good with like hooks and like, choruses. So like, I don't know why, but like most of the times my songs, they start with like hooks or the center, like the heart.
Right.
And then I write the verses afterwards. I don't know, like that's a thing of me. I don't know. Just it happens like all the times, honestly. I think that I come out with the maybe like the title of the song or like the thing that I want to say in the chorus, and then I'm like, and then I'll figure out the verses. You know? That's how. Well, surfing the light. In the chorus, I don't say surfing the light, but surfing the light, it's like very intense in that song, So that's why I was like, I'm gonna call this song "Surfing the Light," So I feel like, every time is different. Like sometimes it starts with my uku, sometimes like the people I work with, they're like, "Oh, I have this idea. What do you think about it?"
Yeah. And it leads you to having a versatile catalog.
Yeah, absolutely.
And different ways to reach people through that catalog based on their taste, based on the sounds that they like to hear. Like, you've got something for them.
Yeah.
And it's all tied together in this message of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what's coming up?
There's a lot going on. So I have a show on Tuesday 1st.
Tonight, as of premiere date. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna be playing at 5 Spot. I'm gonna lining up with other people that are my friends. It's gonna be such a cool show, such a cool night. Because there's a friend of mine who's DJing between the sets. There's other friends are playing before and after me. I'm gonna be on the stage with my friends, so it's gonna be super dope and like fun.
Yeah.
And then I have like a ton of like things going on. There's like, of course, like I'm writing and producing new stuff. I have a song coming out. I don't have a date yet, but it's probably gonna be like in the next like couple of months.
Okay.
And I'm excited about that song. It's something that I wrote like long ago, but I feel like now it's time to like kind of release it. Because every song reflects a phase of your journey. Yeah. And every phase of your journey is worth it. So you gotta honor that, and you gotta put it out. Yeah. You have to put it out. You don't have to overthink that. Yeah. Because otherwise, like maybe 1 year, I wouldn't like it anymore. And I would be like, oh no, I'm not going to release it. No, you release it now. Yeah. Because that's all you have now, present, leave now, Yeah. So that's another great lesson that I've learned, staying present, being present. Yeah.
And you're documenting the journey along the way too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And enjoy the journey. What a blessing, what a time to be alive now. What we're experiencing like this massive like transformation and like awakening, and it's just beautiful to like connect with people, connect with you today, being here, like amazing, like talking this light language to other people, So there's a lot coming out. I'm just going with the flow, enjoying my time and like I'm starting new collaborations, so I'm excited about that. Yeah. And we'll see what's next,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it seems like there's plenty in the works already. Yeah. So always something being created. So, I mean, best of luck going forward. Of course, Tuesday tonight, as of premiere date, if you're watching this on premiere day, the 5 Spot, 9 p.m., right? Yeah. So you might have already just answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. The question I like to ask people at the end, just to kind of give a little parting wisdom to our audience out there. If there's one lesson from your entire journey so far that you would value as perhaps the most important, that you would impart to your younger self or somebody just starting out, what would that be?
It's a very simple quote. If you can dream it, you can do it. And it's so simple, but it's so true. And that's what I would say to my younger, like Alice, like, hello from your future self. Like, look at you. Look what you've like accomplished, just keep dreaming. It looks like it's easy to say it, but and it is, but it's hard to do it. Like it's hard to be constantly, you know, in that like kind of like mojo moment when you're just like dreaming and dreaming and dreaming, because you know, like you have to face life and ups and downs and like all the things that like surrounds you and like all the conditioning that like all the constant, you know, changes that you go through. So it's hard, but if you have a dream, don't ever stop believing in that, because there's like everybody has a purpose. So you just need to like stay true to yourself and listen to yourself and discover what your purpose is. Follow that path and just, you know, keep dreaming, and eventually it'll happen, because it will happen. I promise. Like I'm the living proof of that. I always say like I made it here. So like to Nashville from Italy, like what? How? Yeah, I made it, you know, I'm here.
And so you can go as far as you want.
Yeah. I'm like, nothing is gonna stop me. You know, there's like one song that I love about Queen, "Don't Stop Me Now." I'm like, I love that song. Yeah. It's so true. You know, never. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest lessons. And then always like stay present, because that's what we have right now. Like is the here and now. And so don't worry too much about what will be, because what will be, you know, whatever. Like if it's meant to be, it'll be. If it's not, you'll figure it out another way. Or maybe like it's because universe is guiding you towards another pathway that it's like more, you know, like that resonates more with you and with your life and with like what you want to be, you know, who you want to be and what you want to do. So just like, stay present and dream big.
Alice Vibe joining us here on the Quinn Spinn. Where can we learn more about you online?
So you can find me like on Instagram. That's my main like social media. It's Alice Vibe. So it's like very easy. And then like every streaming platform to like stream my songs and like watch my videos on YouTube. So that's it.
All right. And make sure you come to the 5 Spot tonight.
Yes.
9 p.m. if you're in Nashville and you're watching this on the day it's released. Alice, thanks so much.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
We will definitely do this more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this has been the Quinn Spinn. 2 N's and Quinn, 2 N's and Spin. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and more. Also on the socials at Quinn Spinn Official on Instagram and Threads, at the Quinn Spinn on Facebook and TikTok. You can learn more about the show as well at umcnashville.com. That's Underground Music Collective's central hub for all things independent music, creativity, community, and more. Also find UMC on all the socials, UMC Nashville for most of them, but it's UMC Worldwide on Facebook because we had an awkward rebrand, and then I tried to get the old one back, and I couldn't. It was already taken by the United Methodist Church. So, there's that. So, umcnashville.com. That'll bring it everywhere you need to be. At Nash Live shows, we actually just had a Nash Live show or experience. I don't want to use the word show. I should really change that handle. Right on the stage. It was awesome. Content's going to be rolling out, as well as news of what's coming. Of course, we're in the planning stages right now, so hang tight. We'll get to you. And if you want to follow me at GerardLongo12 on Instagram, you'll see pretty much stuff about everything I just mentioned and the occasional fitness thirst trap. And Revel 9's All I Become. I'm going to take us out like it brought us in. Grab some muffins on your way out.